Thanks for tuning in. If you're not yet following me on Instagram, go ahead and give me a follow at gginfo777. I have two new questions. The first question, what are some simple tips for a healthier lifestyle? Some simple tips for a healthier lifestyle. I would say first and foremost, begin with your thought process. Begin by observing your thought pattern. Don't judge yourself, like if you catch yourself being negative or being rude or being like that funky energy, like instead of judging yourself, just observe it and ask yourself, like, why am I feeling this way? Why are my thoughts negative? And the reason I say that your thoughts and observing yourself is like the first and foremost thing to do for a healthier lifestyle is because our thoughts greatly affect the way that we perceive our experiences. It affects the way that we go about eating and recreational activities, and just basically our thoughts regulate our mood. It's important to have a healthy thought process, to have healthy patterns and healthy habits in order to then have a healthier lifestyle, because we're not talking about being healthy for a week or a month. We're talking like long-term, your life on an everyday basis. So my simple tip for a more healthier lifestyle would be to be more observant of your thoughts, be more aware of your thoughts and where they're coming from. And if they do feel negative, take a moment to just take it some deep breaths and remember that we're all human and we're having this human experience for a reason. If you don't like something that's going on in your life, figure out ways to change it. Be happy with yourself and your achievement. That might mean like maybe setting boundaries, being more open to meeting new positive people, or being open to learning from other people. I would also say another tip for a healthier lifestyle is being aware of the music that you're listening to and being aware of what TV shows and what movies you're watching, because all of that is going to influence your thought process. Everything starts from within. Like everything outside of ourselves is a reaction what's going on within us. So if we can get right within, then everything outside of us just kind of falls into place and your lifestyle will just begin to be a healthier one. So I would say start with your thought process, observe the music, TV shows and movies that you're watching, as well as who you are around and who your friends are, because our friends and who we hang out with, our family members, our coworkers, all of that impacts our everyday life and it impacts our thought process. So all in all, I would say just like be aware of yourself and be aware of your surroundings and what you're feeding your mind. And then like food wise, I think that just kind of falls into a place all on its own. So that is my simple tip for a healthier lifestyle. And the second question was, what are some simple cures for depression? A simple cure for depression, and not a band-aid, like a simple cure for depression is to write down your emotions. Write down why you are feeling sad, why are you feeling angry, why are you feeling low energy. Write it down, even if it's a question, even if it's why am I feeling sad? Why am I feeling down? Why am I feeling blue? Where is this low vibration coming from? And the thing about writing down these questions and our feelings and our thoughts is that it really does bring clarity and it helps you get to the root of the issue. For the most part, the reason many of us become depressed is because we're so aware of the world and the shitty things that go around in the world. That kind of goes back to what it is that we're listening to, who we are around, and what we're watching on TV. All of that impacts our psyche, it impacts our perspective, and it impacts our mind. So I had severe depression for quite some time. It started when I was like 16, and I didn't really get to healing myself up until I was like 20, 21. Plant medicine definitely helped, but all in all, it was a shift in my perspective, like being isolated, because I would isolate myself, and it was going within myself and asking myself these really serious questions and being like, why am I sad? You know, like what is really triggering me to feel so hopeless and so like fatigued? And at a certain point, I definitely contemplated suicide, and I felt like I didn't belong here. I felt so out of place. I felt like it just wasn't, this place wasn't for me. And I didn't understand why. For me, what really helped me shift my perspective was cannabis. I never smoked as a kid. I thought, I was so scared. I took like the DARE program, so I believed all of the crap that they told me about cannabis. Through secondhand exposure, it really did elevate my mind, and it elevated my perspective, and I got to see myself and my life and just human life from a different perspective, from a higher perspective, from like a star's perspective. And that really changed the way that I viewed my pain. It felt less of a drag, and I understood my pain. I understood my feelings way better, and it wasn't this confused, like, I don't know why I'm feeling this sadness. It's like, no, I was able to identify the sadness. It's not that like, you know, I smoked weed and then I was like all happy and everything was fine. No, what cannabis did for me was that it helped me analyze, and it helped me sit with my emotions in a more peaceful manner so that I could understand them and not like, you know, judge myself or guilt trip myself for feeling certain ways. I grew up undocumented, so you know, that's where a lot of my depression came from. And it wasn't just that I was undocumented, it's that I knew that there was a political system in place that is racist and that limits how much other people can succeed in their life. Like it definitely puts barriers that are just unnecessary, because there's so much abundance in this world that there's no need for us to have borders. Like the only reason we should have borders is for security purposes, in the sense of like knowing who's coming across, and making sure that there aren't any kidnappings, you know, like making sure that they don't have any weapons. Like if people are good people and they're just trying to work, like there's no reason for us to limit that access to good people. You know, for me, just knowing the state of the world made me feel really sad and depressed, and it made me feel hopeless because I felt disempowered. I felt like I couldn't do anything about it. That obviously fed the feeling of depression. So I would say get to the root of your depression. Ask your depression questions. Ask yourself questions. Like, be honest with yourself. Another thing that really helped me during my depression was to write down mantras. Go online, I would go on YouTube and I would look up mantras. And one of the mantras that really worked for me, later, like years later, discovered is Kuan Yin's prayer is Om Mani Padme Hum. And I would draw this mantra and I would paste it and tape it all over my room. Mantras really helped me a lot because it helped reboot my mind. Since I had, you know, I had depression for a couple years. Like, it's sometimes hard to get out of that cycle and get out of that pattern in your mind. So what the mantras did for me was that it helped kind of like reboot my mind, and it helped me reprogram all of that. So I would say mantras. And lastly, music. Make yourself a good playlist. Find music and find songs that elevate your spirit and stick to them. And give me a follow at GGInfo777.